Okay, let's get into this deep dive. We're looking at philosophy today, right? Based on your sources.
Yeah, exactly. Philosophy comes from the Greek philosophia.
Meaning love of wisdom.
Right. And it's really that basic human drive, isn't it, to ask the really big questions.
The kind of stuff you probably wondered about as a kid, existence, knowledge, what's right or wrong, but like formalized.
hmm
Mm.
And what's interesting looking at your material is how it defines the method. It's not lab experiments.
No, not like science
Okay.
or math proofs either.
Exactly. It's more abstract thought, conceptual analysis, careful arguments. Your sources paint it as this rational way of looking at the universe.
And a Wyman place in it.
Yeah. So our goal here is really to walk you through the key takeaways from your sources.
And show you why this ancient way of thinking, well, why it still clicks today.
Definitely. So first up, the scope. Your sources make it clear philosophy isn't just one thing.
No, it branches out big time.
Right. Core divisions. You've got metaphysics first.
That's the really fundamental stuff, right? Like the nature of reality.
Yeah. Are we free?
Yeah.
Is it all predetermined? And one thing your sources mention, which is kind of cool,
What's that?
is how these debates about, say, substance in metaphysics
Yeah.
actually, well, they pave the way for early science thinking about matter.
Huh. Interesting. Okay. And then there's epistemology.
Right. The study of knowledge itself.
Yeah.
What is knowledge? How do we get it?
Your sources dig into those debates too. Like, can we trust our senses? Or is it all about reason?
Exactly. And those debates didn't just stay in philosophy books. They were foundational for the scientific method we use today.
Makes sense. And it goes further, right?
So-
Ethics?
Mm-hmm. What's good? How should we live? Logic, aesthetics, beauty.
Politics, mind, science, language. It covers a lot.
It really does.
Yeah.
And your sources really drive home how these, well, seemingly abstract ideas, they provide the frameworks for almost everything else.
Like government structures, even how we critique art. Okay, so let's talk evolution, the history. Your sources lay out a pretty compelling story arc.
Yeah, what really jumps out from your material is that shift with the pre-Socratics.
Before Socrates, Plato, Aristotle.
Right. Instead of just accepting myths, thinkers like Thales and Anaximander, in your sources, they started looking for rational explanations.
Natural principles for how the cosmos worked.
It was radical then. Totally laid the groundwork for science later on.
And then, yeah, the big three in Greece. Socrates, Plato, Aristotle.
Your sources get into their methods. Socrates, always questioning, finding contradictions.
And Aristotle, very systematic. Logic, observation.
And these weren't just like abstract thoughts floating around. Aristotle's classifications, they influenced biology for centuries.
Wow. Okay, moving forward. How did philosophy interact with, say, big historical moments? Your sources mention the Renaissance.
Yeah, that period saw a big return to humanism. So philosophy started asking new questions about human potential, individual agency.
Kind of separate from just religious concerns.
Exactly. And then the modern era, you get these defining clashes.
Like rationalism versus empiricism. Your sources contrast those.
Right. You've got rationalists like Descartes. I think, therefore I am, championing pure reason.
Against the empiricists, like Locke, saying the mind's blank slate, it's all about experience.
And this wasn't just academic debate. Your sources show how this disagreement shaped, well, everything from how we teach kids to political theories.
Which kind of brings us neatly to the impact, doesn't it? How has all this thinking actually shaped the world you live in?
Well, your sources are pretty direct on this. Philosophy provided the conceptual blueprints for political systems.
You mean like Enlightenment ideas,
Yeah.
natural rights, social contract,
Yeah.
stuff discussed in your material?
Absolutely. Those ideas directly fueled revolutions-shaped constitutions we still have today.
Okay, that's huge. What else?
It's also been a kind of dynamic moral compass. Your sources point to ancient virtue ethics influencing conduct.
And philosophical frameworks are still crucial now, right? For stuff like bioethics.
Or AI ethics. That's a big one your material likely touches on. It helps us grapple with how new tech should fit into society.
Not just if it can.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's also been this epistemological engine for science.
Meaning?
Well, beyond just starting that shift away from myth, philosophy keeps questioning science itself, examining claims, limits of knowledge, what counts as evidence,
Keeping science honest, in a way.
making sure it stays rigorous, reflective.
Yeah. So, stepping back, What's the big takeaway for you from all this in your sources?
It shows philosophy isn't just, dusty old books or dead guys arguing.
Right. It's the source code, almost. The deep principles behind our societies, our ethics, how we even understand things.
And its real power, its enduring relevance, is in its approach.
Yeah.
It teaches you how to think critically.
Not just what to think.
Precisely.
Okay, so here's something really interesting to consider, maybe mull over today.
Yeah.
By training us in rigorous thought, making us question assumptions, pushing us to see different perspectives, philosophy, based on everything your sources show, it might just be the most powerful tool you have for dealing with uncertainty, seeing through manipulation, and working towards, well, a more coherent, just, and meaningful life. Something to think about.